There's this interview that went viral of Bill Maher to Nancy Pelosi, they are discussing this bill that is about to be signed by Gavin Newsom of California, in which there will be a 150K down payment assistance for illegal immigrants. And you can imagine that's why it's been exploding all over X and the internet at large. And we're going to see the body language and expressions of both Mayor and Pelosi discussing this, and a second clip about how Joe Biden was suggested to drop out of the race, and they begin to joke about that. But let's watch the first clip.
The California lawmakers just passed a law. It hasn't been signed by Governor Newsom, but giving government assistance to undocumented immigrants to buy houses.
Okay, my first impression is that Mayor is a bit uncomfortable about the fact that this bill has just passed, or about to be signed, and this is mostly his usual body language, his baseline body language, the cover in his mouth. But it's interesting that he says that in key moments like this one,
Passed a law.
just pass a law in which it's moving on. It's going to be a real thing if it's signed. And when he says the word giving government assistance, he also covers his mouth at that moment. It's like he is not keen in the idea. He feels uncomfortable about the idea. Again, this is usual Bill Maher body language, but he doesn't cover his mouth at all times. Again, let's keep watching so we can spot the real patterns here.
That's kind of a different place than the Democratic Party used to be on immigration, is it not? I'm not going to say that's what the country's going to do, but that's certainly where California is.
There are a few facial clues in Mayor, but the one is that when he talked about the Democratic Party and implying that this is not regular Democratic Party stuff, that this is a bit too much, he raises his eyebrow for just a split second.
Different place than the Democratic Party used to be on immigration, is it?
Implying that, well, this is a different situation. What do you have to say about this? Like, this is something that has been unheard of. And let's listen to Pelosi's answer.
Well, let me just say, immigration had always been a bipartisan issue. I refer you to
But not free houses.
Well, that's not free housing. It's the American dream being available to more people. But
well, a couple of things here. She has this very ample and wide hand gestures, and she's doing them all of the time. Those could be illustrator gestures in the sense that she's using them to make emphasis in her discourse, in her arguments. But they are a bit all over the place. They're not having a real pattern to her own words. So maybe she's doing them all the time just to attract attention or something like that. And again, it's interesting that she says that this has always been a bipartisan issue, the immigration issue. But
it's been a bipartisan issue. I refer you to
But not free houses.
But not free houses, says Bill Maher. That's a different thing. You are saying that you're gonna give 150K just because, I don't know, there's no reason, and to illegal immigrants. And what is Pelosi's answer? This is important. She does not clarify at first that they are going to be moved to documented first. That's something that she's going to say at the end of this clip. I'm going to spoil a bit you here, but that's important to make this reference because she moves on to talk about the American dream.
Well, that's not free housing. It's the American dream being available to more people. But
it's the American dream being available to more people. It's not free housing. No, yes, it is free housing. You're giving away money and to people that are not citizens, that are not paying taxes. And how does it work? And just remember that she did not clarify, or did not make it clear that she was going to move them, or the ones in charge were going to move those illegal immigrants to documented immigrants first and foremost, which would be, I mean, an important step in the crazy equation that these people are crafting on the fly.
Understand this about immigration. The best speech on immigration was by President Ronald Reagan.
Okay, it's important for her to make a reference to a Republican, and I'm going to fast forward this before I make my point. I'm just going to play this in 2x speed.
This is the last speech I will make just as President of the United States. I want to communicate a message to the country I love. And he talked about the Statue of Liberty and the beacon of hope it is to the world, and what America was preeminent in the world because our door was always open, and we will cease to be preeminent when we shut the door. Now, I don't do justice to the great communicator. Google it. It's a fabulous thing to enjoy. Herbert Walker Bush continued in that respect for the diversity of America and the rest.
Okay, in all fairness, Ronald Reagan did pass the sign-up bill in 1986, if I remember correctly, in which it was bipartisan, and it was written to do two things. The first one was to make regular or documented almost 3 million illegal immigrants who were in the country, which was a lot at the time. But at the same time, the other part of that bill was making sure that there was restrictions on illegal immigration and as well who were hiring illegal immigrants. But that second part was not as harsh as it needed to be. You know that this bipartisan issues, you have to negotiate this stuff. And it is funny that Pelosi has to go all the way back to 40 years ago to a Republican to make a statement or make a point about whatever is happening now, in which we know that, well, in 10 years, the world and countries can change so much. In this case, we're talking about 4 decades ago. So it's completely out of the question. This is a non-argument. It's trying to distract with something that does not apply in this case. But let's keep watching.
California's always in the lead. Maybe others will follow that lead, but that's up to those states. But we're very blessed here with beautiful diversity.
You know that there's a word that they keep throwing. In all cases, even if it doesn't make sense from an economic standpoint, if it doesn't make sense from a legal standpoint, just throw the diversity in the air because that is important. Diversity is our strength until it is not. You know that it sometimes does not work. I have to say, of course, I always remind everyone that I've been a legal immigrant in the countries that I've lived. But at the same time, I had to do all the paperwork. I have been a law-abiding citizen, which is important, and I have adapted to the cultures that I've lived in. So that is really important, and that's the thing that we are talking about here. It's like countries should be able to filter whoever comes into their soil and pretends to reside and live there. It's not like you can let anybody or anyone get in. But let's keep watching.
So you'd vote for this law?
Excuse me?
So you'd vote for this law?
Well, I'm not familiar with exactly what it is. But
okay, she talks about, like she knows about the law and what does it imply, but when Mayor asks the question that if she would vote for that law, I would have to read the fine print. So that's when she chickens out a bit about the said 150K down payment assistance for illegal immigrants.
But making the American dream of home ownership available to all people is something we have to do for people who are here now.
But she's saying that making the American dream of home ownership. My question is to my American friends, is that American dream of home ownership available to all law-abiding citizens of the United States right now? That is important because I think there must be priorities in this case. Not much body language in this section of the clip, but questions that are important nonetheless. But Bill Mayer wants to make a point again.
This is before your citizen. This is undocumented. This is for the undocumented.
Well, what I would like to do is move them to documented.
Okay, a couple of things in here is that when he says that undocumented, we're talking about something for the undocumented or illegals, is that he presses his lips in a way that he is resistant again to that idea. I mean, it's like, no, I don't agree with this. He's trying to convey an opinion. He knows that he has to be more or less, let's say, unbiased, but his body language betrays him at this moment. He doesn't think it's a good idea. And that's when Pelosi makes it clear that the idea is to move them to documented. Okay, you could have said that, no, this is not that way. We're not talking about 150K for illegal immigrants. We're going to move them first to documented. But you see that this is almost everything part of the plan. And what is silly and what I don't like about this kind of interviews and this kind of shows is that everything is so scripted that you see people clapping and applause, breaking out in applause instantly after this. Take a look at this.
What I would like to do is move them to documented. The fact that we can move them to documented.
I mean, it doesn't get much fake than this, but you get the idea.
One of the best things that we can do for our economy is to pass comprehensive immigration reform.
She begins to talk about the economic benefits of immigration reform. But I don't know about you. I have run the numbers. I have read the bills, and no, it has to be way more strict than anything that the Biden-Harris administration tried to pass in January of this year. No, it has to be a bit rougher. So that's it. You see that Mayor was absolutely against this, maybe not in words, but he was asking questions, even if Pelosi was willing to vote for this law. And she said, well, I have to read it first. And ultimately, his body language betrayed him and revealed that he is not okay with that. And Pelosi, well, is all for diversity, is all for the American dream, is all for, unicorns doing whatever they need to do for Kamala Harris to win. And speaking of Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, of course, we need to take a look at how they were joking at the end of the show about Joe Biden's dropping out of the presidential race.
Many times when I'm encouraging people to run, especially more women, to run for office, nothing more wholesome than our political process than that. Aren't we excited about...
Yes, and
a couple of things here when she says that more women to run for office. She finally has some facial expressions, that Pelosi is almost like frozen in time there's no expression in there. And there's some kind of a smile in here when she's thinking about women to run for office. That is diversity, that is equality. I never get that right. I think it's all the same. But again, it's trying to label something that it just should boil down who is the most who is the best for the job. That's it. That's what you should be doing. And at the end, when she's finishing that idea, her expression is, it's like she is maybe retracting from what she said, but there's a bit of regret in there. Let's just play that again, just in case.
Aren't we excited about...
yes.
We're excited about, she misses the next word, and Mayor interrupts.
And sometimes you're discouraging people to run.
You see, I did not mark that part, but when he says discouraging people to run, you know what that means. You know that Joe Biden was suggested to drop out of the race. And you see that Mayor has that smirk, that single-sided, a bit of, that is not content, but it's a smirk of trying to be, I'm being sarcastic, that is the marker that he is having there, making the joke about Biden.
We're not going to get into that.
No,
whatever.
People make their own decisions.
Absolutely, they do.
She says that people make their own decisions, but does this arrogance gesture, putting her chin right up. There's something that she doesn't do at any other point during the interview. And it's very telling in the sense that we don't know how much was her influence in all this. But, you know.
Absolutely they do. But I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for what you didn't do.
Again, there has this uncomfortable moment in which he makes a joke, and I don't know, maybe it was improvised, but he's turning to the audience like to look at them and, well, this is your time to cheer again. I just joked about something. Maybe it was not on script, and they took like 1 or 2 seconds to begin cheering. Again, you know that faking it, scripting everything is not gonna be the way to go, because it's so fake in many ways.
Much for what you didn't do. Last question. But when Joe stepped down, did you want it to be an open convention as opposed to going right to Kamala?
Well, here's the plan. Kamala, it was open. Anybody could have gotten in.
Well, that is her assessment of it, or her statement, but I don't know. There's so many questions that we still don't have, as in why Kamala Harris, if she was so unpopular for many years until she wasn't. That is odd.
She wrapped it up. You have to give her credit for that.
I do, totally. Yeah, and the Democratic Party, you know what? That's the smartest thing they did.
I find it funny that he says that's the smartest thing that the Democratic Party did, but his expression, well, that doesn't look like it. He denies a bit with his head, but I'm going to say that it was just emphasizing his idea. So again, we have this crazy developments. In this case was Nancy Pelosi talking about the $150K bill or assistance for illegal immigrants in California, in which she doesn't know if she would sign it until she reads the fine print. And we're talking about Joe Biden or whatever happened to him. He's still on vacation, right? Like 15 days at the beach. And who's running the country right now is my question. But again, I would love to know what you think about this in the comments. Remember to download my 100 free body language tips in the description of this video, and so you will be subscribed to my emails and my tips by email, so you can learn how to spot all these body language clues and avoid being manipulated. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the body language guy. Much love and bliss.